4 years ago this month, the acute consequences of the Joe Biden presidency. We were losing a war. It was August of 2021. All of those years, all of that money, and we lost a war. Can you believe it? The Taliban right now are actually in charge in Afghanistan. And folks, this almost resulted in a new world order, and a really foul one. America lost on such a grand scale, a total catastrophe. Everybody saw it. The media, they may have covered it up within about 72 hours. Nothing to see here. But our enemies and our allies saw it, and they will never forget. Neither will the families of those who lost a Marine or sailor in that terrible Abbey Gate terrorist attack. It never, ever should have happened. Just like we never, ever should have had Joe Biden as president. Can we agree, right? I think everybody knows that. I think Democrats know that. The worst possible man in the world to helm the White House at that critical time, and the lies came so easily for him.
The Taliban is not the North Vietnamese army. They're not remotely comparable in terms of capability. There's going to be no circumstance where you see people being lifted off the roof of an embassy of the United States from Afghanistan. It is not at all comparable.
Oh, yeah? Look at this mess. People desperately holding on to the side of airplanes, American, foreign planes, you name it, jamming inside. Everybody trying to get out of that hellhole. And right now, with the Taliban in charge, you know, they're still selling the organs of children. Organ harvesting happening in Afghanistan. Girls being mutilated because they want to go to school. You know, for Democrats who care so much about women and girls, what about Afghanistan? What about it, Joe? And he always has a lie at the ready. They warned Joe, oh yeah, no, you're going about this all wrong. But Joe, because he lost Beau Biden, right? And he wore a uniform once, you couldn't tell him anything.
So no one told, your military advisor did not tell you, no, we should just keep 2,500 troops. It's been a stable situation for the last several years. We can do that. We can continue to do that.
No one said that to me that I can recall.
He even stuttered a little bit. That I could recall. Of course they were. Of course, but he was too arrogant and dumb to listen. And this changed everything. Not long after, Ukraine was invaded by Russia. And they saw how inept America was under Joe Biden. And there was nothing we could do about it. Yeah, our NATO alliance. We wouldn't have to worry about all that stuff if we had not lost in Afghanistan. Who else was inspired? Hamas to move into Israel the way they did. October 7th. It never would have happened had America not been so publicly neutered and humiliated. This is a strange culture. You can screw up so colossally on the global scale, and when you show up for your presidential debate, right, the one you blew against your opponent, former President Donald Trump at the time, right, and you can stand up there on that stage for 90 minutes, and the moderators, the corrupt moderators, would not even mention the word Afghanistan. It doesn't matter, really. President Trump was able to take care of himself rather handily, and Joe was completely pathetic. But it is incredible what they try to get by the American people. If we won't notice a horrendous defeat in Afghanistan after 21 years of war, maybe we won't bat an eye the next time they put a drag queen in the school reading to kids as if this is some sort of civil right. I really think we were tested. If America can say yes to this, can pretend that this is normal, what else will we just allow to happen? Now, MAGA, of course, we're a different breed. It's not going to work with us, but it does work with a disturbingly large portion of the population. President Trump throwing a former president in jail as they tried to do. Yeah, they did it. They pushed it. And I mean, quite frankly, the pushback was completely inadequate. It was cheerleaded by the New York Times, by CNN, by the establishment, even some Republicans, and even Fox News. We need these guys for moments like this. Andrew McCarthy, Well, I think of all the cases against President Trump, perhaps the worst is the documents case. Bill Barr also piling on Donald Trump. Geraldo Rivera, these are the lawyers that Fox News used during all of the lawfare against President Trump. And they all thought it was okay. Thanks for nothing, Fox News. Jeez, I mean, the legacy of what is their legacy? What do they stand for? Something else happened in this month, August of 2022. I remember where I was when the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago. It is astonishing. This is a look-back month for me. This is the first Monday in August. It's a little bit weird, right? It's a little bit, people are on vacation. It's not really still the summer. It's not the fall. It's just this kind of, anyway, a lot of significant things happen this month and may happen all over again. But we're also seeing some pretty positive things that I'm getting excited about. Take a look.
As Donald Trump launches an authoritarian crackdown on free speech while pursuing retribution against his enemies.
Another escalation of retributive action.
Business community intimidated by Donald Trump and his threats of retaliation and retribution.
Retribution, oh my goodness, bring it on. I love the retribution, and retribution is actually a good thing. They don't understand this. Punishment inflicted on someone as vengeance for a wrong or criminal act. It's different from revenge. It's like the revenge is like about a perceived slight or something silly, but retribution, if you did something wrong, you're going to be punished. And they did do horrible things. And now we're seeing justice. It's happening. Sometimes we want it to happen a little bit faster, but a grand jury has been called. They're hearing evidence. That's the perfect forum. You know, it's one thing to have those hearings that are really great on Capitol Hill and some of our favorites, Jim Jordan and the rest, you know, the way they take on those witnesses and expose them. But at the end of the day, there's not that much they can do. But a grand jury, they can start indicting people. The DOJ can start trying people, and the Department of Prisons can punish people. And I do believe, and I think I know a lot about this more than almost anybody in the fake news, Tulsi Gabbard is gosh damn right about all of this stuff. Go ahead.
They manufactured findings from shoddy sources. They suppressed evidence and credible intelligence that disproved their false claims. They disobeyed traditional tradecraft intelligence community standards and withheld the truth from the American people. John Brennan, who was CIA director at the time, and the intelligence community intentionally suppressed intelligence that showed Putin was saving the most damaging material that he had in his possession about Hillary Clinton until after her potential and likely victory.
Do you believe that any of this new information implicates former President Obama in criminal behavior?
We have referred and will continue to refer all of these documents to the Department of Justice and the FBI to investigate the criminal implications of this.
For even former President Obama?
Correct. The evidence that we have found and that we have released directly point to President Obama leading the manufacturing of this intelligence assessment.
Well, she is rock solid on all of this stuff. They try to confuse the whole issue, right? They say, well, there's no question whatsoever that Russia interfered with the election, but that's not what she's alleging. By the way, the interference was minuscule, very, very small. It was how they tilted this entire thing as if President Trump's presidency was manufactured by Putin. This is the line right here in the National Intelligence Assessment. This is how they sabotaged President Trump's presidency. This is what they attempted. We further assess Putin, and the Russian government developed a clear preference for President-elect Trump. Here's the problem. The intelligence did not say that. They made that portion up, and they were basing, I mean, this is where they're in trouble, all right? And we have documents that certify that this is not true. And that's what they used. And some of them went a little bit further, right? Remember all the colluding stuff, right? President Trump, not only was he helped by the Russians, well, he was cooperating with them.
Donald Trump is an unwitting agent of Russia's Vladimir Putin.
There was collusion between the Trump campaign and Putin.
The possibility of collusion between the Russian government and the Trump campaign.
Whether there was collusion between President Trump's campaign and the Russians.
Whether Donald Trump himself is just a puppet for the Kremlin.
All kind of like off the same talking points, right? That's what they did. And it's one thing for a bunch of wacko politicos to make up stuff and repeat it, but they were getting this from the intelligence agencies, and they were deliberately misrepresenting. They were doing everything they could to sabotage President Trump. And then that Mueller guy was walking around for 2 years with his fake investigation, prolonging it when he knew positively that there was no collusion. So here we are today. A grand jury is in full swing, and that is fantastic. And watch the media play dumb. What's this all about? We have no idea.
Gosh, I have read Tulsi Gabbard's summaries and reports really carefully. I've tried to make sense of this, and I am not comprehending where the criminal theory comes in at all, frankly.
Well, let me help you out on that one, Ellie. They deliberately ignored intelligence that exonerated President Trump, that actually cleared up the entire thing, that said that actually Putin was at times trying to hurt President Trump. That's big. That's a big deal. That is our intelligence agency. You guys use it for political means. Tulsi Gabbard outlines that in all of these documents. And if that's not straightforward enough for you, and I understand you got to look at the documents, you really got to look at them. Or you can listen to John Brendan's audiobook. This guy says out loud that he was trying to sabotage President Trump and was not cooperating with him, was not performing his constitutional role in advising the president in good faith. Does this sound like somebody in good faith? He's summarizing the first meeting he ever had with President Trump, when President Trump just had a certain question. Do you guys ever pay your sources? Do you guys ever pay them money? Because people sometimes will say stuff for money. Listen to his reaction.
I stared at Trump, shook my head in disgusted disagreement, and bit my tongue nearly hard enough to draw blood.
Yikes. Whoa. It's just a question, man. And it wasn't just Trump, right? These intel people, they think they're better than democracy. Mitch McConnell, I'm no fan, but he had his suspicions. He's been around for a long time, Mitch McConnell. He says, it sounds to me like you guys have it in for President Trump. He was saying this throughout the 2016 election. In John Brennan's own memoir, he was disgusted and outraged by Mitch McConnell.
One might say that the CIA and the Obama administration are making such claims in order to prevent Donald Trump from getting elected president. I was completely gobsmacked by his comment. Here was the Republican leader of the Senate dismissing intelligence delivered personally by the director of the CIA about Russian interference in a presidential election that was only 2 months away. By suggesting that the CIA was part of a plot by the Democrats to win the presidential election, McConnell showed his own strongly partisan political instincts. I could feel myself getting mad, but I suppressed a very strong urge to tell him in very colorful terms what I thought of his offensive comment.
He's got to stifle it. He's got one heck of a temper there, right? Yeah, he's got to bite his tongue. He's got to suppress the urge for these silly people elected by America. How about that one? These people are in big trouble. They are lawyering up, and they should, because what they did, I believe, in layman's terms, was treason. Now, whether it's the legal terms, we'll see. But they're in trouble, and they should be.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.